The orange was orange, and when I ate it, it made me feel orange. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, I hope you are having a wonderful day. The Spider-Man character has been around for many years. He was first established back in the 1960s, and ever since then, there have been countless amounts of stories that have been published and written by various different writers. Today, we're going to be addressing events from The Amazing Spider-Man number 27, 28, 29, and 30 from 2023, written by Zeb Wells. During this time, it almost felt like they were just doing whatever with the story. Nothing particularly mattered, and so we ended up getting some pretty crazy things out of it. First things first, at this point in the story, both J. Jonah Jameson and Spider-Man were pretty good friends, to the point where JJ just already knew Spider-Man's identity, of course, Peter Parker. At the end of The Amazing Spider-Man number 27, we get left off on a pretty crazy cliffhanger. The original set of arms belonging to Doc Ock arrive at the doorsteps of J. Jonah Jameson, and they've been badly mangled by their owner. Then we move on to The Amazing Spider-Man number 28. J. Jonah Jameson storms into the Oscorp building trying to seek Peter Parker's help because he knows that that's where he's currently working at. JJ is just rushing through the hallways with the original Dr. Otto Octavius arms in a little shopping cart. JJ finally finds Peter Parker and he's working with Norman Osborn. JJ says to them, "Look what they did to him," referring to Dr. Otto Octavius's arms that are in the shopping cart. Norman is baffled. He's like, "Yo, are these Octavius's arms? What are they doing here?" But JJ is really concerned over the arms. He's just seeking repairment. The arms are clearly a security issue and Norman just wants him out of the building. But JJ yells at him, "Osborn, you heartless ghoul, what did these things ever do to you?" Of course, he responds with, "Yeah, many countless times, they've just been at me, you know? They tried attacking me." Mind you, at this point in the Amazing Spider-Man comics, Norman was basically playing a good guy. So JJ brings that up. He's like, "Oh, you can change, but they can't?" Peter gives his input and he says, "He's right, Norman." Peter also brings up the fact that they have had a history in the past, him and the arms. Later, it's basically like a hospital scene from Grey's Anatomy. JJ's just waiting there, and then Peter walks out in like a doctor outfit, as if he was just producing an operation. JJ questions, "Hey, why are you here?" Peter tells him that now Norman is working on them, as he has more of an expertise based on his and Dr. Otto Octavius's history. JJ starts freaking out because they're just in the room there together, and of course Norman has been an evil guy in the past, so he's very concerned over the arms. Peter tells him, "Jonah, easy, what's gotten into you? Last time I saw you with those arms, they were holding you hostage. Now you're acting like they're the family pet?" And ladies and gentlemen, this is where the story, I believe, starts getting pretty weird. JJ tells Peter, "Well, maybe they started coming around my place more often, just to stay out of the rain. Then maybe a warm place to sleep, and maybe I tried to chase them off at first, but maybe I started looking forward to them coming around, curling up in the bed, keeping my feet warm. I just don't think I could handle it if something bad happened to them." Mind you, he is referring to Dr. Otto Octavius's arms. Then we move on to The Amazing Spider-Man number 29, and this is immediately after a confrontation that goes south with Otto Octavius. It's both Spider-Man, JJ, and the original Dr. Otto Octavius's arms. After Spider-Man gets knocked out, the arms manage to save Peter Parker as they're attached to JJ himself. So JJ and the arms are helping out Spider-Man in this scenario. They managed to get him away. The only thing is, from the confrontation that they ran away from, it was only caused because of the original arms hacking into the Oscorp facilities. The original Otto arms are tuckered out, and Spider-Man is blaming the arms for the attack that Otto did on Oscorp. JJ tells Spider-Man, "Take it easy on them. Looks like they're tuckered themselves out getting us here. I think they're taking a nap." Spider-Man replies, "Jonah, I know you've grown attached to those arms, but they're how Otto got access to Oscorp to begin with." JJ gets very defensive about it and says, "Hey, I know these things, and there's no way they known anything about that." Already, ladies and gentlemen, you can already see that JJ and the original Dr. Otto Octavius's arms formed some sort of like human-pet relationship. And it's just something that's been going on in the background, I guess, without anyone knowing up until now. You might also be wondering why Otto isn't using his original arms. Well, at this point in the story, he did create a version 2.0, I would say, of his arms that just had various different unique qualities about him. So he pushed his original arms aside, and I guess they just ended up growing attached to JJ, of all people. Then we move on to the events of The Amazing Spider-Man number 30, which is the final part of this overall weird side story with Jonah and Dr. Otto Octavius's arms. So after the final conflict with Otto, we're winding down the story, and we get to see what happens with JJ and the arms, as we're getting a very deep monologue in the forefront by Norman Osborn. In the background, we're getting the final resolution for JJ and the arms. J. Jonah Jameson walks up to his couch to enjoy a nice newspaper and a cup of coffee in the evening. He sits down and relaxes and starts reading his newspaper. And who is also there enjoying a nice, loving home environment? Well, none other than the original Dr. Otto Octavius's arms. The story concludes by letting us know that JJ is just gonna continuously live with the original Otto arms, especially as a pet, as it's been mentioned in the previous issues. Whatever crazy stuff is going down in the Amazing Spider-Man comics, this is definitely one of the things that stood out to me for some reason. It's just so bizarre. We get established that JJ has been keeping Dr. Otto Octavius's arms as a pet, almost like a straight pet that has sought out a home, and Jonah just adopted him. Ladies and gentlemen, can you ever imagine that ever being adapted into a movie? A live action movie? Of all the things that they could have possibly imagined and come up with for these stories, that's something that they implement into the Amazing Spider-Man comics? Like, what the heck? I don't know, it just stood out to me as just something super weird. Anyways, that is all I have for you today, ladies and gentlemen. Let me know what you guys thought about this content that was officially published in the Amazing Spider-Man comics. Like, this is official Spider-Man canon, folks. So what do you guys think about it? If you enjoyed this video at any point, make sure to leave a like and subscribe, and I'll catch you guys next time. Peace.